Welcome back, guys. Now, how well do you know your neighbor? Just think about it. And whilst you do, please subscribe to this channel if you are yet to do so. We need all the subscriptions we can get just so we can grow. Now, back to the question. How well do you know your neighbor? The person that you see every morning and you say a beautiful good morning to. How well do you know this neighbor? Okay. Now, an Italian fugitive and convicted murderer suspected of belonging to the 'Ndrangheta syndicate, which is one of Italy's most powerful organized crime groups, has been arrested after being on the run for more than 16 years. And guess where he was arrested at? He was hiding in plain sight in France. This true crime story is going to just blow your mind, honestly. It will show you the need to wake up to your surroundings and not just take things on face value, but rather be sure that you know the people around you, the people who are smiling to you and you are smiling back at them, and you do your due diligence because maybe, just maybe, your neighbor might be a murderer and a hitman for the cartel who is on the run from the law and is trying to build a new life under a disguise as your neighbor. If you are ready for this true crime story, just buckle up and let's go. After being on the run for more than 16 years, Italian fugitive and convicted murderer who is suspected of belonging to the 'Ndrangheta syndicate, which is one of Italy's most powerful organized crime groups, has been arrested in France. And he was actually working in a pizza company. Now, his name is Edgardo Greco, and he's 63 years old, and he's a fugitive of the Italian state. He was arrested late Thursday in the city of Saint-Etienne after a coordinated effort by the Italian and French authorities. Now, Greco was handed a life prison sentence in absentia in Italy on charges including a double homicide and the attempted murder during a mafia war in the early 1990s. Following from there, Greco escaped from temporary police custody in 2006 after an arrest warrant was issued following the killing of brothers Stefano and Giuseppe Bartolomeo, who were beaten to death at a fish market in the town of Cosenza in January of 1991, and whose bodies were believed to have been dissolved in acid, according to Italy's National Carabinieri police force. So, this is what has been flowing so far from the issues around this gentleman, if I may call him so. If you look at him, he looks unassuming. He easily passes off as that neighbor of yours that you say good morning to. And in fact, he had been able to change his life, gotten a new alias, and he was running a pizza shop. You know, he had fully blended into the society. And he was more like hiding in plain sight. Now, allegedly a member of the perna-pranno gang, the Italian outlaw was untraceable for years, the Carabinieri said, during which time he took up residence in the town near Lyon, France, where he eventually opened his own pizza parlor. So, this guy was on the run. He was able to change his identity, sort of change his look a bit, and then he decided to settle down in France and actually establish a business. And he was operating under the alias of Paolo Dimitrio. So you wouldn't suspect him. As an ordinary citizen, you would go to him, you buy, and you exchange pleasantries with him. You know, I'm sure he had friends who trusted him enough to even invite him into their homes. But then again, it begs the question, how well do you know your neighbors? Are we supposed to be friendly just because we are supposed to be friendly? Well, I think so, because imagine you were his neighbor and you had a beef with him. He is very capable if he decides to pay you back in one way or the other. Now, he was able to operate this pizza joint successfully to the point that it actually got featured in 2021 in a newspaper where Greco was featured, and it was advertised with the restaurant's authentic Italian cuisine. And in that advertisement, he actually is quoted as saying, "I only want to offer regional and homemade recipes." And this is an advertisement and an interview that he granted to the Le Progrès newspaper. I hope I got the name right. So you could see that this guy had really gotten confident. Notwithstanding the fact that he's on the run, he was actually more comfortable now because he's been on the run for 16 years, and I'm sure he got complacent and he dropped the ball. But the beauty of law enforcement agencies is that they are relentless. You might think the case has gone cold, you might think they are on to bigger things, and they may have forgotten about somebody, but trust you me, they are always searching, they are always digging, and eventually they will find their mark. Kudos to the law enforcement officers. Now, following his arrest early Thursday morning, a magistrate in Lyon formally notified Greco of Italy's arrest warrant before placing him in detention. Considered Italy's most extensive and powerful mafia group, the 'Ndrangheta syndicate, based in the southern Calabria region, is believed to have operations on every continent, with strong ties to the cocaine trade between South America and Europe. Matteo Piantedosi, the Italian Interior Minister, indicated that the arrest demonstrated the country's commitment to fighting all forms of organized crime and locating dangerous fugitives. Now, this was from the Interpol, and records indicate that Greco is actually the second mafia-linked fugitive to make headlines this month, following the high-profile arrest of most wanted mob chief Matteo Messina Denaro, who was also apprehended at a private Sicilian clinic after a 30-year manhunt. His alleged co-conspirator and the man whose identity Denaro assumed, Andrea Bonafide, was arrested shortly thereafter. So this is what one of the security agencies after them actually is quoted as saying: "No matter how hard fugitives try to slip into a quiet life abroad, they cannot evade justice forever." And this was coming from Interpol's Secretary General. And he indicated further that dedicated officers around the world will always ensure that justice is served. So it's just like I said, these guys, they don't ease up, they don't rest, they don't relent. And I'm impressed with the way that they've been persistent. One was on the run for about 30 years. Imagine, 30 years. I'm sure there was a sort of succession between the security officials pursuing the case after a decade or two. But all in all, the work was still so seamless to the point that they were still able to bring the case home and get these people arrested. I've always been saying, keep an eye out. Look at the people around you, study your environment. People more and more are becoming not what they seem to be. Keep an eye out. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't done so. Turn on post notifications, share the video, and leave your comments in the comment section. We'll catch you another time. Stay safe out there.